energy. I talked about this in the lessons too. When we turn here to the cross hand, most of our weight is in the front, okay? And we don't shift back, okay? We keep the weight on the front. A lot of times people shift back because they can't turn with the weight in the front. So this is easier, but then it's, it wastes more time, shift back, and this is not as good. Or sometimes people on certain moves is that they try to go quicker to like make some momentum and turn. So that's not good either, because then you're not using the right energy. So to turn easily, one, you have to relax the body. See, when the body starts to turn, it's already making it easier. So I'm not shifting and releasing the weight, but by turning, I'm already releasing the weight, but also the turn will help the foot and the legs. Yeah. And at the same time, the second thing is I had to keep pushing with this right leg. Okay, so here you don't see it, but the energy, I'm not relaxed. If I just relax this leg and try to turn, it takes a lot of energy here, and you're almost like breaking my structure, my sinking, because I'm trying to turn too much. Yeah, so here, but if you relax the body and keep pushing with this leg here, it's very easy to turn. So I can keep my body very steady, very still, and be able to turn with ease. So there's a lot of techniques like this in the form that you have to learn. I went over a lot of it again in the lessons, but it's hard to cover everything. So, always when we practice in workshops, we'll be going over more stuff, even more details. But everything you add is not information. Like you try to remember everything, too much information. All this should make things more simple, make things easier. I mean, you have to try to learn it, so it takes a little effort, but once you learn it, it's just like a habit. It's just there, right? So it's not like all information. Information would change into what you do, and then it becomes natural. And that's the only way to obtain it. Otherwise, like after you read a book on Tai Chi, it doesn't mean anything. You know some stuff mentally, but you can't apply it, so it doesn't really count. Yeah, so that's why the practice is very important. Okay, so that's just the third section. I did the entire thing in the first review and in the second review. So if you have all three, again, this should really help with your lesson. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. Just another quick drink of water. Okay, so now we're going to talk more about how Tai Chi works. Tai Chi is really simple. Yeah. I posted something about 2 hours ago on the Facebook mentioning about this review. I said, when things that make sense, it shouldn't be complicated. Because when it's complicated, it doesn't make sense, right? Like everything else. A lot of times people make Tai Chi very complicated. It's hard to understand, very deep. It is deep. It's a deep practice, that shouldn't be that hard to understand, or, at least when you do it, you should be able to get a feel of it somewhat. And then as you practice, you'll be deeper. So it's a very deep practice. The information should be common sense, and how it works. How things works in Tai Chi is the same as how everything else works, right? For instance, give you a few examples, like powerlifting. Like you watching the Olympics, that's the only time I have seen it. The lifters, they try to hold the weight from the ground, they pick it up, and they raise it above their body. So to hold that much weight up, their body had to be very specific, precise. A little wrong move, the weight could drop in the back or drop in the front, and of course they're not nearly as strong. So how their body supports the push is exactly the same how we support the push. But our push, let's say if we do the wide crane spreading the wings, It's not all straight up, so there's adjustments. But let's say if we do the Qigong, where we putting all our energy in the push, and then if we do two hands, the body would be the same. If you watch, other athletes, how much their back arches, how their hips, because everything had to be just right. They had to be strong, otherwise they can't be the best. Yeah. So that's where people tend to go wrong. Is they think Tai Chi is different from everything else. Why is it strong in Tai Chi? Because it's different, like I said, because if you have both hands forward and if you're working on certain things that Tai Chi focuses on, it changes a little. But the fundamentals, the core of how you use your body, your mind, your energy, is still all the same. Yeah. Again, I tend to use sport a lot too. Let's say throwing a pitch in baseball. They have 1 foot back, 1 foot forward, and if they throw a pitch, you watch their hands always land more on this side, because landing their hand on this side brings the weight on this side, right? So that helps me root into my front foot. Sometimes they follow step, but either way, how they end up, they're in good balance, and their weight is on the front foot. They don't throw like this way, because that pulls you over to the inside and your body's not connected anymore. You lose your balance and the ball goes wild. Yeah. So again, all these things, whether it's throwing a ball, lifting weights, or tossing something. I mentioned this the last time. I was watching a woman in competition throwing hay, try to throw as high as you can, how her energy came off the ground, through the legs, and you can see the extension in the body when you throw it up. I look at it as, wow, that's exactly the same in Tai Chi. Again, a lot of people think otherwise. That's why Tai Chi has lost its edge, because it's lost. Most people don't know the true meaning of it. Yeah, so that's the problem. But how you extend the body is the same thing how we will extend in Tai Chi if we're going straight up. Yeah, like lifting the weight. But again, when you go forward, it's the same thing as throwing or pushing. If you're trying to push something very heavy, again, and only thing that could be different when you push something heavy, that object is not going to move. It's consistent, so you can lean more. But in Tai Chi, we don't lean as much because you're pushing people, they could change. But we try to use the lean as an advantage. That's why at the end, as we relax slightly when we push, that really gives us a lot of power, a lot more power without getting off balance. Again, the slight lean makes a big difference. So it's worth it by holding yourself straight up. Again, like sometimes people do when they do the push, it looks nice and straight, looks very proper, but it's not good martial energy. Yeah. So again, to truly understand Tai Chi, everything had to make sense. Yeah. I'm going to explain just a little more about how the energy works. We talked about in the last lesson from the legs.